Thanks very much, Florian. Our final speaker is Giorgos Charisis, who is from one of the big trade unions in Greece, the ADEDY. So I'd like to introduce him now, Giorgos. He's going to speak for about 7 minutes. I think he's also going to be translated. Thank you for coming.
Αγαπητοί φίλοι, γεια σας.
Dear friends, hello.
Θέλω να διευκρινίσω εξ αρχής ότι δεν εκπροσωπώ εδώ τη συνδικαλιστική οργάνωση των δημοσίων υπαλλήλων, την ADEDY, στην οποία είμαι μέλος της εκτελεστικής της επιτροπής.
I want to make it clear that I'm not here as a former representative of ADEDY, which is effectively the public sector TUC of Greece.
Εκπροσωπώ τις δυνάμεις του ΣΥΡΙΖΑ στο εργατικό κίνημα.
I'm representing more the Syriza faction within the trade union movement.
Είμαστε εδώ μια αντιπροσωπεία του ΣΥΡΙΖΑ, όπου συμμετείχαμε στην χθεσινή διαδήλωση.
We are a representative group of Syriza who came here to participate yesterday in the TUC day of action.
Παρόλο ότι δεν έχω συνηθίσει να μιλώ με γραπτή ομιλία,
despite the fact that I'm not used to give speeches which are written down before.
Επειδή δυστυχώς δεν γνωρίζω την αγγλική γλώσσα,
Unfortunately, I don't speak English.
Και επειδή ενημερωθήκαμε από το ΣΥΡΙΖΑ την τελευταία στιγμή, έγραψα μια ομιλία στα ελληνικά και θα τη μεταφράσει στα αγγλικά ο σύντροφος του Ισίρονος.
Right, that's why, and I was given a notice very late by Syriza to come. I have written something down. And I'm asking Isidoros to translate for me.
Και ελπίζω να έχουμε την κατανόηση του Προεδρείου.
And I hope that you bear with us, Mr. Chairman. Okay, I'll make the best to translate because I've only seen it now. Sorry if I make it. You will laugh with me and not against me, I suppose. All right, I'm bringing you the fighting internationalist and class greetings of the workers of Greece, who, especially in the last 2.5 years, have been paying for the implications of the crisis of the capitalist system by the reversal of pay, work rights and insurance rights of the God, and the abolition of collective bargaining mechanisms and other employment protection mechanisms. In this very brief time span, what has happened in our country is that there has been an almost complete reversal of the gains of the last century and a complete return to the conditions of life that prevailed 25 to 30 years ago, whilst if the new measures that have been already agreed between the Greek government and the Troika were to be implemented, that will lead our countries to a genuine humanitarian crisis. Already our government is planning the closure or amalgamation of 40% of hospitals, the abolition of systems and services of welfare systems and children's stations, schools and so on. Unemployment has trebled and is going rapidly towards 30%, and it has exceeded the 50% amongst the young people. Suicides have trebled, and the salaries or the pay levels of the workers have been reduced by 30 to 50%, while there are more reductions in the offing. It is characteristic that also, in accordance with the annual report of the Institute of Employment for the Greek economy, the type of employment is changing rapidly from full-time to part-time and temporary employment. And there are some statistics here which I find a bit difficult to translate, sorry for that. You get the gist. By about 60% of the new appointments actually are part-time rather than full-time, that kind of thing. At the same time, the workers and the Greek people have actually mounted a resistance, mass resistance on all these barbaric policies of the Greek governments, the European Union and the IMF. And the last 2.5 years, nearly 20 countrywide general strikes have taken place, as well as hundreds more sort of sector-specific strikes, as well as occupations of public buildings, of headquarters of various services, and so on. But unfortunately, until now, despite all this resistance, every single measure practically that they had planned, it has happened, it has gone through, and that has revealed, in the most sharp way, the lack of a clear strategic approach for dealing with this assault on our rights, on behalf of the union movement, of the trade union movement. The sometimes reformist approach and of the majority of the Greek trade unions, not only at the national but also at the European level, has prevented the development of a clear, cohesive plan of resistance and fighting back and fight back, and the development of any social solidarity at a national and European level in order to fight these policies. If you had asked somebody in Greece 3 years ago, and you had told them that these things will happen in their lifetime, no one would have believed it, but they have happened, and they have followed this so-called politics of the shock. The measures have been cumulative, and they have been accompanied by an unbelievable, incredible propaganda by the media, which have sharpened the syndicalistic and other differences between workers and between different social stratas, social groups. For example, between those who were low paid against the higher paid workers, for those in the public sector against the private sector, those who have safe sort of security, job security for those who don't have job security, between the unemployed against those who have a work. So you see, for example, that according to that scenario, you never see the blame being put on the politics of the governments or the European Union or of the capital. The same is the propaganda from the European Union. It's the Greeks' fault, who are lazy, they are tax avoiders, and so on. Of course, now that the crisis is spreading into Spain, Italy, Portugal, it is the fault of the countries of the south, and so on. What they're trying to mask is the essence, that it is the capital in Europe which wants to reverse completely all the social and employment rights that they have achieved, and to dissolve almost completely the welfare state in order to increase the profitability of capital. Dear friends, the Greek government is scared of the public anger and indignation, and that is why it has been downgrading the power of the parliament, and it is increasing in parallel the reactionary oppressive mechanisms of the state, and it's using violence and scare tactics, scaremongering, which in turn is feeding the rise of racist violence. Then you won't find now in Greece any strike or demonstration which is not completely drowned in chemicals and tear gas. 2 days ago, on the 18th of October, the country had one of the biggest general strikes, and with the trade unions at the same time they went on strike, the various scientific and cultural organizations, various private commercial shops and businesses closed down for the day, and so on, because the policies of this government they don't hit only the workers themselves, but also they destroy the small and medium companies and enterprises who are employing the majority of the workforce, and at the same time they are undermining and dissolving practically the middle classes in Greece. Our working class in our country understands now, that it's much more clear understanding that there is a need for a definitive confrontation with the establishment in order to overturn these neoliberal policies of the current memorandum-based government. There is a need to increase the hope and the self-confidence of the Greek people in order to believe that it is possible to win, and that the opposition are not invincible, and that this politics is not a one-way street. We must make sure that they don't compromise, they don't compromise, and they're not getting used to poverty and defeatism. In the next few days, it will be absolutely definitive for us, because the measurements that are now being planned are particularly savage. They will change the nature of the country, which will be a country that geographically will be in Europe, but in terms of society, it will be more of sub-Saharan Africa or Southeast Asia nature. Everything shows that if these measures are going through, then the days of this government will be measured. There will be very few. In the last 2 years, it isn't only the rights of the working class that they have changed, but also what started changing is the mentality and the attitudes of the people, and the nature of the political powers and the beliefs. The old system has collapsed, and the political powers, forces that there used to be before, and they were controlling the country since the Second World War, are collapsing. The Socialist Party, PASOK, had 45% in 2009, dropped to 12% in 2012, and today the opinion polls are giving it down to less than 5%. At the same time, there is a collapse of the Conservative Party, while Syriza from 4.5% in 2009 has jumped to 27%, and today the opinion polls give it more than 30%. 2 more minutes if I can. Friends, the guinea pig, which is called Greece, seems to be actually reacting now and fighting back. It is probably the weak link in the European Union, and a successful resistance in Greece will give hope to all the people and the rest of Europe, and it could be the spark that it will fire the change of the politics of austerity in all the countries of the Eurozone, and especially the countries of South Europe. In the last few days, I read somewhere that the Prime Minister of Greece, Mr. Cameron, said he doesn't want to hear anything more about Greece, and we will say to him that we don't want him to hear either. What we want is to become the nightmare of his nightmare and the nightmare of all the representatives of the EU and the international capital. And I do believe that very soon we will be just like the river whose flow you can't turn around. The forces of the left will be the winners of the next elections, which will take place very soon. And we think that within that is absolutely imperative for us that the international solidarity is expressed most forcefully than until now. Our fight is not just our fight and our struggle, but it's a struggle of all the peoples of Europe. It is not a Greek phenomenon, this crisis is European and international, and the international capital wants to divide the working people. They demonize the Greeks, despite the fact that they know that the Greek workers work longer hours, get lower paid, and are deprived of basic social welfare support and so on, in health and other aspects. The left in Greece can win and can succeed in addition to the determination of the Greek people. We have the support of a large international movement of solidarity. We don't want to simply take over the government, but we want to actually overturn the dominance of monopolies and the capital, and to empower really people and the workers in exercising power. The capital thinks that the inevitable victory of the left in Greece will be something like a passing small event, and it will collapse immediately afterwards under the pressures that they will put on it. But the slogan that we hear everywhere in Greece, in all the demonstrations and mobilizations, either us or them, this slogan doesn't express simply a desire for a change in government. It actually reflects a mood for the overturn of the neoliberal political and the politics to reproduce the crisis and so on. So they're making, in my opinion, a very big mistake by writing it off as an insignificant event. The left and people learn from the history of their own struggles, and they get strengthened. Their resolve is getting strengthened even more than before. We need, at this moment in time, an internationalist coalition of the working people to counteract the international coalition of the capital. The working movement in England has a long tradition of international solidarity, and just like in the old days, we take it for granted that you will express the same solidarity again, and we are looking forward towards it. Thank you very much.